Elon Musk just took control of enough energy to power a small city. What he's doing with that power will shock you.
Bit of a controversial one here, guys. Elon Musk just spent more than $1 billion buying an energy company. And he did it so quietly that nobody noticed for weeks.
Right now, retail investors are absolutely obsessing over software stocks and the latest AI chips. Meanwhile, Elon Musk quietly executed a $1 billion acquisition of a company called APR Energy, a firm that owns over 1 gigawatt of mobile, rapidly deployable gas turbines.
There was no press release, no post on X, nothing. The only reason we know about it is because the Federal Trade Commission documents surfaced showing transaction number 202612350, which lists Elon Musk personally as the acquiring party, CF APR Super Holdings LLC as the seller, and New APR Energy LLC as the company being acquired. The deal closed without any public announcement and only came to light on the 14th of May.
Why has Elon Musk chosen to keep this a secret? Well, because it directly contradicts his reputation as a clean energy, even though electricity has to come from somewhere. But that's been his brand. Now he's acquiring these diesel units, this mobile power technology. Let's find out more.
I think this deal is truly bizarre. And the reason why, I just finished writing a script about batteries and solar being cheaper than gas in Australia to run and operate. Significantly cheaper. The purchase price here wasn't disclosed directly, but analysts worked out the scale of the deal from minority stakeholder disclosures. One report showed a 5% interest in the company sold for $50.4 million US dollars, which puts the total valuation at more than $1 billion US dollars. For context, Fortress Investment Group bought APR's assets in late 2024, rebranded it as New APR Energy, and has now transferred ownership to Elon Musk. So why has he done this? And what did Musk actually buy?
All right, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want you to think about the irony. Again, the man who spent 2 decades building the EV revolution and preaching a solar future just dropped 10 figures on heavy-duty natural gas-fired turbines. Now, we talked about this in a live stream a few days ago about that energy sector. That's going to be the leading sector for decades. We talked about why. It has to do with scarcity. Scarcity brought on by political instability, policies here in the United States, green energy policies. Whether you agree or disagree, those things have conspired to create scarcity. And when there is a lot of demand and not a lot of supply, there's an opportunity. But this also has a human toll in it as well. We'll get to that in a minute. Look, smart money and technology, they've hit a wall. The primary bottleneck of the global economy is not software anymore. It's not even human capital. It's raw, uninterrupted electricity. So we're entering a multi-decade era of structural energy scarcity. And if you understand where this bottleneck is headed, it changes the entire way you look at your investment path going forward into the mid part of the 21st century. Now, to see what energy scarcity looks like in real time, look at Memphis, Tennessee. That's where Musk built Colossus. Colossus is the world's largest AI supercomputer cluster. It's a data center, basically, and it's running hundreds of thousands of power-hungry GPUs 24/7.
In Memphis, Elon Musk is making a play to control the future of artificial intelligence. His company xAI says it has built the biggest supercomputer in the world with lightning speed. Paul Young is the city's mayor.
It represents a tremendous opportunity, an opportunity for us to take our economy to the next level.
XAI says it will create $100 million in revenue and hundreds of jobs.
Okay. I'd be very dubious about those claims. Yeah, it probably will create the revenue. As far as the hundreds of jobs, it may create hundreds of jobs, but they won't come from Memphis. These data centers are in large part automated, and they take technicians and people with very specialized training. So the claim that they're going to create hundreds of jobs needs to be clarified, needs to have more detail. Where will these jobs come from? What population pool will the jobs draw from? We've seen in Frederick, Maryland, that the construction personnel on data centers are being bussed out back to Dulles Airport at the end of the week. So they're definitely not coming from the local area. Real quick, before we jump back into the video, if you're looking at today's economy and you're realizing that old budgeting playbooks just aren't cutting it anymore, you need to hear this. So trying to earn your way out of rising cost takes time. But defending the cash you already make is an instant and 100% tax-free process. That's why over at Health Wealth Link, we've launched the weekly economic survival briefing. Every week, we drop a short, high-impact breakdown on cash flow defense, AI automation, and building resilient wealth. Week 1 is live right now, featuring our zero-based overhead audit, including the exact 15-minute negotiation script to immediately lower your monthly bills. It's completely free. So head over to healthwealthlink.com/join or click the first link in the description of this video below and grab week 1 right now. Back to our video.
But the digital future needs power, lots of it. These are the gas turbines fueling the supercomputer they call Colossus. They emit hazardous pollutants like formaldehyde and nitrogen oxides, according to the manufacturer.
Just over this fence, you can see and hear the turbines churning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Without them, the data center does not function. What's not in dispute is the fact that they are polluting the air. What people don't know is how much of that pollution is reaching nearby communities.
Easter Knox lives 2 miles away.
You smelled it
Yes, Lord.
right away?
I sure did. Well, after they got situated, I started smelling it.
Knox lives in Boxtown, a mostly black, low-income neighborhood in South Memphis,
The health department, they need to be ashamed.
where industry has taken a toll for generations.
There's a lot of people out here who got medical problems like breathing issues.
Cancer risks here are 4 times higher than the national average. Cancer killed her father and other relatives, Knox tells us. Life expectancy here is 9 years less than the national average. Elon Musk's company is not to blame for those numbers, but that legacy and those turbines have triggered a backlash against XAI.
Hello, everyone.
A recent health department hearing turned into a shouting match. An executive from XAI ducking out a side door.
And look, this reaction is understandable if you've seen what unfulfilled promises look like in communities that have data centers. I can again refer to Frederick, Maryland, and the people who put up, the organizations that put up data centers out there have broken several commitments. So people are absolutely right to be concerned, especially when it comes to not just air pollution, but pollution of the water table as well.
The mayor says the city is hoping to start testing the air in the next 2 months.
Right now, there are people in that community that feel like they have been railroaded by XAI, that they weren't a part of the conversation when it was approved, and now they're bearing the brunt of its existence.
Well, I think it's important for us to have direct dialogue. I take their concerns deeply serious.
Among their concerns, the company is running the turbines without a permit. But
Without a permit. Okay.
the health department says that's okay for the first year.
It's okay for the first year. So, okay, they don't quite know what's going into the atmosphere. Health department's like, cool, no problem. For the first year, at least, you can breathe it in and then we'll address it on the back end. Did you ever see the movie RoboCop? And there was this corporation called OCP, Omni Consumer Products, and they just did whatever they wanted to do, and the politicians were either paid off or extorted, exploited in some way, and so they really didn't represent the people. This whole AI thing is beginning to look a lot like RoboCop's Omni Consumer Products.
Let me refer you to our contract. In the event of default, OCP shall have the uncontested right of foreclosure on all city assets.
And after city officials said there were 15 turbines, environmental advocates released this thermal image. They say it shows twice that many active.
As soon as we saw the image, we called like, hey, we had a conversation. What's happening with these additional ones?
So they're not using those?
No, they're in idle mode in case they are needed.
XAI
Or so they told him.
declined to be interviewed, but tells NBC News it is using pollution minimizing technology and working with public officials to stop relying on the turbines by the end of this year. XAI has also pledged to build a water treatment facility for the city.
Elected officials are working for and conspiring with industry in order to draw profits.
Community organizer Keyshawn Pearson has lived in South Memphis most of his life. He says he is skeptical XAI will create hundreds of jobs and doubts the mayor's promise that its tax dollars will be directed to improve these neighborhoods.
We don't want money in exchange for our lungs or in exchange for our lives. We want clean air, we want clean water, clean soil, just like everybody else.
XAI is already building a second supercomputer nearby, even bigger, that will need even more power, raising new questions and more anger among some residents, Lester.
Okay, when they talk about needing more power, that brings us back. I have to chronicle the human cost of this, okay? Because again, I encountered a post on Facebook where a lady said, I'd rather have a data center in my backyard than a solar field. And I knew she had no idea what the hell she was talking about. So we always have to chronicle the human cost of these technologies, right? Cobalt is mined in Africa, right? And they're like children doing it. But the cobalt powers all of these electronic devices, not powers, but it facilitates all of these electronic devices we have. There's a human cost behind this advancement, right? So look, on the energy front, training the next generation of artificial intelligence is going to require literally mind-boggling amounts of power. Consider a single mega data center like Colossus, what we just saw with Elon Musk. It can consume as much electricity as 80,000 standard American homes every single second. And remember, this acquisition that Elon just made gives him the capability to power almost as many homes as that. So when tech giants, when they want to go out and build these massive computing clusters, these massive AI data centers, they call local power companies. And what do they say? Well, they say you're going to have to wait, okay, because there's a 3 to 5 year interconnection delay when it comes to you got to wait in line, okay, just to connect these new mega capacity loads to the public grid, which is sapping a lot of power and driving all of our bills up. So Elon Musk doesn't want to wait. Instead, his team has rolled in nearly 70 mobile gas turbines on semi-trailers to run the data centers as he's building them behind the meter, so to speak, completely bypassing public grid delays. Now, in order to position yourself financially, you've got to understand that these scarce power resources they're creating an opportunity. They're not going to create an opportunity. They have created a hell of an opportunity. When billionaires start buying whole power fleets off grid just to keep their computers running, it tells you that power capacity is the new prime real estate. XAI originally deployed these flatbed gas turbines using temporary mobile generator exemptions to bypass these Clean Air Act permitting processes. That's what they're doing down there in Memphis. But as the environmental groups and local communities start to sue, and that community might want to do that depending on the air quality down there, federal regulators start stepping in. And that triggered a massive debate. Even the Department of Justice stepped in, arguing that keeping these turbines running was a matter of national AI security. We got to beat China, right? So if you get lung cancer, tough luck. All right, so Musk's response was he bought APR Energy outright to secure a captive supply of turbines while simultaneously breaking ground on a permitted 1.2 gigawatt natural gas power plant. We're seeing moves like this over the country, even with smaller players, that they're purchasing power plants even. This has happened in Maryland recently. All right, so this entire battle, it highlights three massive macro forces colliding at once. Unprecedented demand for energy. AI electrification and modern manufacturing are driving grid demand to historic highs for the first time in decades. And the levels of energy that we require are absolutely unprecedented. Next up, geopolitical instability. Global friction continues to threaten traditional supply chains, and this injects extreme volatility into power markets. And that volatility is where there's a financial opportunity. And then the policy disconnect. So you got intermittent renewables like solar and wind. Okay, for your house, maybe, right? But for data centers that run 24/7, for factories, 365 days a year, not gonna cut it. All right, so the cold hard engineering reality is that natural gas and nuclear, they're the heavy lifters of baseline power generation. So when you try to phase out reliable baseload power before you have a scalable replacement, you get energy scarcity, skyrocketing utility bills, grid instability, and you get good earnings reports from these energy companies, quite frankly. All right. All right. So, what's the ultimate takeaway here? For the last 15 years, the highest stock market returns, they came from asset light tech companies, companies that ran apps or software as a service platforms, digital tools. But in the era defined by energy scarcity today, okay, the physical world is starting to assert the assets that matter going forward. So we're transitioning from big tech relying on public utilities to big tech becoming their own power producers. And this is a trend called energy vertical integration. Capital is rapidly shifting toward the companies that own, control, and produce raw power capacity. And of course, those include natural gas infrastructure, which is composed of pipelines, gas turbines, liquid natural gas facilities that deliver immediate, reliable 24 by 7 power. Okay, so these are the companies that would be in the mix, that would be companies that, based on their fundamentals, you can't just go out there and throw money behind a company. Maybe, this is not a recommendation, maybe good investments. All right, nuclear and small modular reactors in specific. Now, nuclear is the ultimate clean baseload solution that major tech firms like Amazon, they're actively securing through long-term power purchase agreements. Now, when these SMR, that's going to be one heck of a game changer in terms of supply. Okay. Then we've got grid hardware and equipment. So manufacturers of transformers, high voltage gear, and behind the meter generation fleets. Elon Musk's $1 billion power play is not a one-off move. It's a preview of the next decade's biggest investment narrative. Software may run the world, but electricity runs software, right? So look, we'll continue to cover this. I firmly believe this is an opportunity for long-term growth. A lot of these companies, especially on the utility side, also kick off income in the form of a dividend. What do you think? Will tech companies building their own private gas and nuclear plants, will it solve this AI power bottleneck, or Will public grid delays hold back the AI revolution? Let me know in the comments what you think. I'll talk to you soon.